now that we know that we're live on the website. Let me get back over so we can chat about this in the window. All right, before I do anything else, I just put up a blog page with all of my brokerage referral links. I'm going to be adding to that. Excuse me, let me move this microphone. I'm going to be adding to that, making notes, etc. So let me say before we get going, as you can see on the screen there, let's scroll up. Disclaimer, I like both of these platforms. I use Tastytrade for like data and odds-driven decision making and things of that nature. There's a lot of information that's presented there. I use them for multi-leg options. However, in this market, I'm going away from pretty much the complex trades right now and just selling covered calls on my stock. But I'm using Tastytrade to kind of make that decision as far as what date of expiration to sell, what's the percentage, the odds that it's going to be out of the money, because I don't necessarily want to sell the stock. You know, I might want to sell something where it's at the edge of the expected move, you know, so I don't have to get rid of the stock. Kind of cheat and just take the option. It's kind of deep to get into now, so I won't say any more than that. So, Etrade for simple stuff like selling covered calls, cash covered puts, and there's a huge reason I use them for that. That can save you a lot of money and, of course, make you more money, which is probably what you're reading on the screen. We're going to talk about that. And then, like I said, data complex stuff on Tastyworks. I think I kind of beat that dead horse. So that's the number one reason right there that you see on the screen. The margin requirements are much lower in E-Trade. So what that means is for you to have a given amount of cash in there, if you have a margin account is basically you borrow against the value of your cash or the value of your stock or whatever. You don't have to have, for example, like SPY right now is like $416, I think. Let me see. Let me look on this SPY right now, just for the sake of argument. I know the data is right there on the screen. It's close to that, $415. So it went down $3 today, or a little less than 1%. So if you said, I want to buy that with cash, you'd need, for 100 shares, like if you're going to have an option out on it, to buy 100 shares would be $41,500. Let's say that. If you have margin, you don't need the full value of that stock. You only need like 30%. And the reason for that is the brokerage figures, well, you know, the stock's probably not going to drop 30%. So we're going to let you buy and take advantage of having SPY for $12,500. That's E-Trade. It's a 30% requirement, which if you do the math, if you multiply this 30 to 100%, you get $415,000. You only need 30% of the money to buy options or sell options or whatever. I think it's 30% across the board. This specifically is talking about, let's say you wanted to buy and hold 100 shares of SPY and turn around and do covered calls on it. You know, you could use $12,500 of your own money and turn around today and say, okay, an at the money call tomorrow, let's call it $417. You can sell that for $250 right now. So that's a pretty good chance, like 2% of the $12,500 it takes to hold the stock. Now the downside is over on Tastyworks. They want $20,822. It's 50%. That's 30% versus 50%. As you can see, that is a huge difference if you're operating on margin. $8,300. It's almost twice as much. Like $25,000 would be twice as much, and they want right at $21,000. That's big if you're trying to make money on arbitrage. Like you might say, you know, I want to buy QYLD and collect the dividend, which would kind of be dumb if you wanted to do that, because I think it's 40%. I'd rather have the 30% and just, you know, take and sell options on that. Like tomorrow, QQQ I think that's the same requirements as SPY. Let me look on my margins, because on E-Trade you can go and see, like, at any given moment what it would cost you to buy that. So if I wanted to buy QQQ and hold it, yeah, it's 30%. It's the same as SPY, which makes sense because they're both index funds. So if you wanted to sell QQQ at the money, $322 is the price of it right now. I guess it's maybe gone up, so let's call it $324. It's about $213. So, you could do the math on that. $213 versus $215. It's kind of close because it's $320 versus $420 roughly. So they're kind of both in line with each other, sort of. Anyway, let's see here. So what are we going to talk about next? I think we covered that one. Margin rate. I cannot say I have a gentleman's agreement with Tastytrade. They actually lowered it to kind of help me out because I have a much better rate on E-Trade. However, I will say, and I do have a much larger account on E-Trade, which makes my money go in further because I get more, I can spend more on margin. It's twice as much on Tastyworks as it is on E-Trade, right? What you see on the screen. So I can't really say what it is on Tastytrade or either one of those, but it's twice as much. And that's after negotiating with both of them. I did negotiate those rates. So there's your tip of the day. If you're paying 8 or 9%, and if you have a reasonable sized brokerage, if you've got that minimum of $2,000, they might do it to be nice. Who knows? It's worth a chat or a phone call to say, hey, I'm going to be trading a bunch, and that they make money off that, so can you do something for me on my margin? Doesn't cost anything to try. If you have a sizable account, and maybe that's why I have a reasonably sizable account with a lot of activity is the big thing, and so they negotiated a much lower rate, really a lot lower on E-Trade than the published rate. This is bugging me. So I put some money into Tastytrade because I wanted some more liquidity because of the market, and options are in flux, and I was getting close to my maintenance requirements. So I was like, okay, let me take some cash and put it into Tastytrade. A couple things happen. One, it goes in, but for some reason they don't credit it right away. E-Trade credits it right away, like I think under $10,000. If you put in $5,000, you got $5,000 to play with right then. They do lock it for 5 business days, maybe a week, something like that. Not very long. Tastyworks, I'm not sure, but you don't get immediate credit. I think I put it in day before yesterday. Now it still shows pending. You guys use Plaid, which is supposed to verify that the money is there. Let me see. I don't even think it's. Let me double check here. I put it in either yesterday or the day before. I don't actually recall now, to be honest. But I bet that money is still in my. No, they did take it out of the checking. So it's out. Let me see if it still says pending on Tastyworks. No, it still says pending today, but it's gone from my checking. So, okay, what's up with that? Not a crowd pleaser. Your mileage may vary. Let's see. So I think that's kind of enough about that. And the other thing was, I recently changed all my bank accounts to one bank account on Tastyworks, and then I tried to take some excess cash out that I had in a. I'm just shifting stuff around. So I had deposited it via one bank, and I want to take it out via the new bank that I established I don't know, it feels like about 3 weeks ago. Pretty good long time. And they're like, nope, you can't do that. And I think they said it was a 60-day lock. I'm like, excuse me? So I would have to go back and put in the original bank to take that money out. It's all cleared, and I don't even remember the last time I put money in. I don't think. Anyway, they've locked it for far longer than I think is absolutely necessary. Let's see. I think it said a 60-day, but I'd have to look. For some reason, it went to my wife's email, even though it's a joint account. Blah blah blah. Okay, so the next thing is the 65 cents versus 50 cents effective on Tastytrade. Pretty sure E-Trade's 65 cents for options. You might be able to negotiate better. Fortunately, I'm grandfathered from when it was. I don't know. They've been bought 2 or 3 times, and now they're merged with Morgan Stanley. Blah blah blah. Short answer is I can do options contracts for 15 cents. super, which is obviously not going to be necessarily the case for you, but again, they will negotiate. I don't know if they would negotiate that price or not. Probably could pretty easily, since Tastyworks is offering effectively 50 cents in, 50 cents out, because they charge $1 to get in and 0 to get out, minus some 15 cents for the fees or something. Your mileage may vary. Like I said, love the Tasty platform for tracking options chains. So if you have like an option and you're just rolling the date, you're just rolling in time for credits or whatever, hopefully for credits. I try and always roll for credit, almost always. If you're doing that, it tracks what you got, your total credits, and you kind of know where you're at. You know, I've bought in $1, the stock dropped, now I'm on the hook. Am I okay with that dollar? Okay, now I'm underwater a little bit, whatever. So that's not perfect. Sometimes it does get positions confused, like if you leg in or out. One thing I would like is to be able to kind of tie those together. Like if I sold a put and then I decided to sell a call spread on the same date, I would like to consider that as all one options package, but the software doesn't do that, which fair enough. I did them on separate days, but I would like to say, okay, consider this one deal because they're the same expiration date, so put my option spread in with the other. Anyway, I'd have to really think through exactly how I wanted to do that, but I have thought in the past I would like to be able to do this. Hold on a second, playing Entropia here. Alright, playing, but doing some sweating. Let me move my mouse and sweat some stuff at Boreas. Where are we? So if you play Entropia Universe like I do, you just have another computer. I've got this little cheap PC that I can sweat creatures while I'm doing this or looking at trades or whatever. I'll just watch for those robot attacks and go rebuild the wall. Speaking of, I'll be able to look at messages, and you know, you can skill that way. That's a cheap skill. This is a cheap skill. Let's see. So conclusions. There we go. We already talked about it. Get both of them for different reasons. Maybe use Tastyworks as your information source, and then use Etrade, especially just because, and I forgot to mention this, they're self-clearing. To clear stocks and trades and all that, they clear themselves. So they're able to set terms better than Tastytrade that uses Apex. I don't know how small they are. You can go Google that and see how big they are. I don't think Tastyworks is publicly traded, so it's hard to see what their market cap was. Anyway, I feel confident saying they're not big enough to clear their own trades. So they obviously have to, have some terms dictated to them by the clearinghouse. So I mentioned that to the Tastytrade guy one day on a chat, and he said, yeah, they're probably just passing on what their brokerage house passes on as far as how much margin risk they will accept. Well, guess what? They clear themselves, so unless I'm mistaken, they determine their own margin risk rates, which honestly, 30% on SPY and QQQ to me seems fine. Like, that's not, to lose 30% in value kind of would be crazy to me. That'd be like huge. Like we're not even seeing that now on SPY and stuff. I think we're down like 10% for the year. So anyway, let's see. So there's that. That's what it is. Yeah, get both. I think that's about it. And we talked about this on E-Trade. If anybody can tell me, is there an easier way to track like option rolls? Like I just have to paste it into a spreadsheet. And to paste it into a spreadsheet, like if you're on the E-Trade site, you just go lower right corner to upper right. When you're printing out your transactions on the screen, you can paste them right from the website into the screen. You just select like the very last piece of text, and then you drag up to the right, select that block, and then it'll paste right into Excel. And then you can just go through and add up all the columns and see what you bought in, etc., etc. It's not great, but at least you can cut and paste, for the time periods and the filters and stuff that you use to do your tracking. So here's the shared link. Like if anybody wants to get to this page, this is just a Google. Dang it! Sorry about that. Bumped my microphone. Really need to clean my room. Yes, Mom. So there's the shared link to the Google Doc, and then I just put this up. I just started this, so I don't have a ton of notes on what's there. Definitely do the freebies that are going to give you a free stock just for signing up, which is at least Webull and Robinhood, and there's probably some others in there. If you specifically are thinking about a brokerage, it would be super nice of you to say, hey, do you have a referral link for XYZ? Because I'm not 100% certain. I have like TD Ameritrade, and I have, what's the other one? Fidelity. So I have pretty much all of them, mainly, honestly, so I can get referrals, but also so I can kind of do these videos and, something newsworthy happens, or if I find a new fact like the margin requirements for Tastyworks versus Etrade. That is huge. That is huge if you have a margin account, and especially if you're doing basic trades. Or if you just want to buy a stock, like, let's say if you wanted to buy QYLD and you wanted to buy 2,200 shares, I think you only need like $900 to buy it. Let me double check on that for you on Etrade. QYLD is 40%. Yeah, so you can buy, on margin, 400 shares of it right now for $3,100. If you were paying cash, it'd be $1,900. So for another $1,100, which is like 70%, so for 70% more, you get 4 times the stock. So you could just sit there and ride the dividends on QYLD, because you don't need all the cash to buy that many shares, and especially if you negotiate a low margin rate, which is called arbitrage. So you're leveraging, which is probably what QYLD does. You're double leveraging, but look at the stock. Look at the stock price of QYLD. It doesn't change that much, and use some margin and buy 250 shares instead of the 100 you were going to buy or whatever, and leave yourself some overhead, and then whatever. You be creative. You can kind of see what you'd want to do with that. Frankly, if you didn't have the money, I would even consider taking out like a credit card loan and being like, okay, I'm going to take my 2250 or whatever amount, and I'm going to buy 200 shares versus the 100 shares, and at the end of the year I'm just going to give the money back. I'm just going to keep all the dividends in the bank, and then you can borrow money against that value. You should have some extra cash value left over. You can take out a margin loan. You just say, I want money. There's the stock that's worth that money. You can withdraw up to, I guess, 60% or whatever, however the math works out to be. They tell you, let's say that you've got this much available if you use margin. If you want to take a loan against the value of your stock, you can take out $3,200. So you just flip the credit card at the end of the year, or you pay most of it off, and then just pay dividends on, you take your dividends and pay off the credit card. Or if during that time you've also been adding money, to it, if you've been putting in $25 a month of your own money from your wages or grandma's birthday present card, gift card, or whatever, at the end of the year or year and a half, you can pay that credit card off. And I will say the ones I typically look for are good for about 18 months or maybe 16 months, about a year and a half, and typically worst case is like 5%. So your effective rate is like really low. Like on 5% for a year and a half, that's like 3% and change. And remember, we can take that money and leverage it and make 10 or 12% on QYLD, and just do it. And there's also savings accounts that pay 5%. So you get 5% a year, you're only paying 5% flat for 16 or 18 months. So you kind of make money right there, just sticking some of it aside. That's another video. I think we've made those before. You can get like $5,000 and earn 5% on it in savings accounts. A few hoops to jump through, but it's $250 a year. It's not nothing. And like I said, you can, if you're lucky to get, like I recently got one. It was a credit card that let me do 3% for about 16 months. You can make money just sticking that in a savings account. It's not much, it's a couple of percent, but you know, you can do both. You can kind of take your liquid money that you're using to pay off your credit card advance. You're just paying that with the liquid money, earning 5%, and then you have some other money that you stick in QYLD, and you're making money on that because you've leveraged it, and you're effectively making 15% or whatever. Anyway, you guys do the math. This is why they wanted you to learn math in high school, so that you could do stuff like this. This is it. So anyway, thanks for watching. Go ahead and hit that like and subscribe. This will be going up on YouTube. You see my YouTube link there. Typically what I do is I do these on Twitch. No one ever chimes in because they're all busy playing stupid games versus learning how to play the ultimate cash economy, the stock market. This is the game, the grand game. Thanks for watching. See you guys later.